Hello. We are reading Hound Dog True, starting with chapter something. Chapter 21. We are on page 90. Remember, Uncle Potluck had just fallen because he tripped over the vacuum cord that Maddie accidentally left out. This is what Principal Bonnet says. She says, "You can't be brave without scare." They are in the Boone County Hospital waiting room. Uncle Potluck is in the exam room. Mama is upstairs at her job on the 7th floor, but will come down as soon as she can. Principal Bonnet is on her cell phone, calling the district office, telling them about Uncle Potluck and how he's scheduled for knee surgery next week and how she'll need a substitute custodian. "Yes, I know this was scheduled for after the holidays. Things got moved around," she said. And Maddie is sitting there, just sitting there, holding her notebook to her belly like that might stop the twisting in it. It is her fault Principal Bonnet needs a substitute. Her fault Uncle Potluck got hurt. Her fault, all of it. Maddie tries not thinking about it, about the crash and the thud, about the hooting sound Uncle Potluck made hopping into the hospital wheelchair. Tries not to think about how sorry, and Uncle Potluck said not to worry, but how he said that low, quiet, his eyes scrunched and wet. The judge is shown the waiting room TV. The sound is off, but the words that tell what the judge is saying slip across the bottom of the screen. Sometimes they're spelled wrong, those words. "What are you thinking?" it might say. But then the right word follows after making the correction. Thinking follows thinking. Consequences after consequences. Maddie does not want to think about the consequences or consequences, like how the consequences of worrying all night about somebody reading your notebook might be that you are tired and stupid and make mistakes. Like the consequences of even talking to some teenage-looking girl might be that all your plans get ruined. Like the consequence of being such a baby is that someone you care about. Maddie looks around the room for something else to think about. Lands her eyes on Principal Bonnet. Principal Bonnet's keychain. There's a picture frame on it with a photo of a lady and a goat inside. That's me on Matthew's camera. She's on with her cell phone call. My first serious climb. 4,000 feet up. 4,000 feet up. Maddie tries imagining herself standing on a cliff 4,000 feet up. Tries seeing herself smiling mountaintop pride like Principal Bonnet in the picture, but she can't. "Be brave," Maddie said. "I'd be scared." That's when Principal Bonnet says it. "You can't be brave without scared. This guy here," she says, tapping her fingernail on the goat, "he's not scared, so he's not brave. He's just a goat going about his goat business." A boy and his mom come through the waiting room. His arm is pressed tight to his chest like he knows better than to move it. "Brave," Maddie whispers. Principal Bonnet shrugs. "Maybe," she says. "What's scary for one person might be easy for another. Could be that the boy is a mountain goat of broken arms." Maddie wants to laugh. "It's funny what Principal Bonnet says. True, too. If you're scared of hospitals, it's brave of you to go one," Maddie whispers to herself, but Principal Bonnet here says otherwise it's a walk in the park. "Unless you're afraid of parks," Maddie says. Principal Bonnet has a tinkly laugh, like wind chimes. "I guess you're right." All of a sudden my Zoom came in. If you're scared of dogs, it can be brave to pet one. If you're scared of heights, it can be brave to climb. A commercial flashes on the TV, a boy and a girl eating popsicles, though the screen word says pompsicles. "If you're afraid of popsicles, it'd be brave to eat one," she says. "Afraid of popsicles?" This time Maddie does laugh. "I'm sure somebody out there in this world is afraid of popsicles. For her, eating a popsicle is an act of great courage. For the rest of us, it's just sucking frozen juice." Principal Bonnet holds the key ring again for Maddie to see. "You know, I didn't just decide that day to go climb a mountain. First I took classes, then I climbed hills and small peaks and practice runs. Each time, Maddie, I had to do small, brave things." The waiting room doors whooshed open and 3 plump ladies come in. "She'll be fine, Alice," one of them says. "You'll see. A brave small thing." Maddie wonders what that would be for a popsicle person. Looking at a box of popsicles at a grocery store? Buying it? Opening it up? With mountain climbing, there is at least a class to take, a teacher to tell you what to do next. What if you're afraid? What if what you were afraid of didn't have a class for it? What if you weren't even sure exactly what you were afraid of? How would you know what small, brave thing to do first? Chapter 22. It is raspberry, Maddie's popsicle. Mama got it at Biggie's Mini Mart on the way home from the hospital. Uncle Potluck had said they should go on with the corn fest, and Mama needed a few things for supper and had asked Maddie if there was anything she wanted. For Uncle Potluck to be okay and me to be a custodial apprentice and Quincy Sweet to disappear off this face of the earth, Maddie thought. Popsicle, she said. Maddie's popsicle is the kind with two sticks, the kind you break in half and share with somebody else. But Uncle Potluck is hat down asleep in the back seat, and Mama says no thank you. So all the way home, Maddie sucks on her two-handled popsicle, wonders what it would be like to be brave. You're dripping, Mama says. Maddie grabs a tissue from the glove box. Sorry, she says to the car seat. There was popsicle juice on her fingers, and she wipes that too, but the raspberry color stays on. Is there something you want to talk about? There was not. Mama turns the car up the long gravel drive, and Maddie keeps an eye on Crystal Sweet's house, watching the windows, watching the curtains, watching all the way up the drive. Nobody peeks through the window. Looks like somebody's been waiting for you, says Mama. Up on the rise in the shade of the apple tree, Quincy Sweet is sitting on the rock drawing. Her bag papers are spread out, her toolbox is open, like the rock is all hers, like she's taking over. Maddie drops her popsicle sticks in the grocery bag, pushes the car door open wide. Want to bring Quincy a popsicle? Mama asks, but Maddie pretends she does not hear. She will be brave. She will be brave, and she will tell Quincy that the rock is hers, and will tell Quincy Sweet to move. Through the grass, around the garden, and past the stone rabbit. This is my place. In her head, her voice is strong. This is my place. Up the rise, past the friend tent, to the rock ledge where Quincy had taken up every bit of room with her papers and her pastels and her wide open toolbox. This is my place. You are in my place, Maddie says. Comes out loud. It surprises her. Quincy looks up, squints. Maddie squints back. Move, she thinks to say, but she doesn't need to say it. Quincy is already stacking her papers, sliding her toolbox over to the far side of the rock. That enough room? Quincy asks. You going to write some stories? I'm just. Maddie feels whatever brave she had sliding out the bottom of her shoes. Yeah, I guess. Maybe. Down at the house, Mama is calling, Quincy, you want a popsicle? Quincy stands. Sure, she calls back. You want one? She asks. Maddie, Quincy is plunking calm as ever. No sucking frozen juice. No, Maddie says, I'm fine. And Maddie is fine, she tells herself so. She is fine. Maybe not brave and maybe not mountain toppy, but fine. She stays fine until Quincy comes back up the hill, popsicle in one hand, Maddie's notebook in the other. Your mom gave me this to bring to you. Quincy drops the notebook on the rock where it falls open. A breeze pushes the page over one after another. Maddie sees her words. Wipe clean, hazard, couldn't, alone, Mo. There was a crashing sound in Maddie's ears, crashing like Uncle Potluck's crashing and falling. Alone, dark, Mo. Quincy puts her hands down on a page, looks what's there, pretends Maddie thinks like she has not read it before. How come you wrote Mo all sad like that? Quincy says. How come you read my notebook? Maddie wants to say, but those are not the words that come out because it is true. It's not true. A button isn't scared in real life. It's plastic. It doesn't have feelings. Maddie wants to say, I know. And what she wants to say is, I know. I have to go now. Goodbye. But none of those things. But she says none of those things, and she does not leave. Quincy bites off the top of the popsicle. I mean, you made it up. You made Mo feel all sad. How come he's not fighting monsters or having adventures or something? You could write that, plunk, plunk, plunk. It'd be better. Quincy keeps talking, keeps plucking out about how if she was a writer, that's what she'd do. She'd write Mo a big brave adventure. Maddie watches Quincy scrape the last lump of popsicle off its stick. But I'm not a writer. I'm an artist. Plunk. Draw it then, thinks Maddie, and the words come out. Draw it then. I can't, says Quincy. I only draw real stuff. She sounded less plunky, disappointed. I have to see it to draw it. You could try, says Maddie. So could you. I know. I have to go now. Goodbye. Maddie sees an empty popsicle stick in Quincy's hand. Okay, she says. Okay? Maddie nods. Opens her notebook to the door. Knob. Flips it. Okay. Quincy opens her toolbox, pinches out a pencil, and kneels on the grass, stacking her papers on her lap. She looks all crumpled up like a ball of trash paper. You can put your papers up here. There's room for the both of us, says Maddie. Yeah. Quincy sets her page on the rock. Mo having adventures, fighting monsters. How do I start a story like that? Chapter 23, The Adventures of Mo by Maddie Breen. Mo was in the washing machine, but he wasn't scared. He was going to have adventure. He was going to... Mo, Hero of the Washing Machine by Maddie Breen. Mo was the toughest button in all of Laundryville. Laundryville was full of lost nickels and buttons and bobby pins and gum wrappers and grocery lists and barrettes and small rocks and rubber bands and popsicle sticks and Mo versus the Lint by Maddie Bream. Everyone feared the lint. It was hairy and stuck to things, and all the lost items of Laundryville had a hard time sleepy because they were afraid that the lint would sneak up on them in the night and swallow them. Mo, the button mouse, was afraid too. But he was tired of not sleeping. He decided to fight back. Mo found a bobby pin. This will be my sword, he said. Then he Then he what? Asked Quincy. I don't know, says Maddie, looking up from the page. Quincy's bag paper is covered with scribble overs and cross out. You didn't draw anything. I need a model, Quincy sighs. I wish I knew where to find a mouse with a bobby pin sword. Here. She hands Maddie a stick. Stand brave like a mouse. Maddie stands. She holds the stick. She tries to imagine herself mouse-like and brave. That's not right, says Quincy. She circles Maddie, tilting her head, staring at her. Maddie wants to shrink to button size, wishes maybe she was lost in the washing machine somewhere. Try poking the stick out, says Quincy. Pretend you're fighting off the lint. Maddie lifts her arms. I would not fight off the lint, she thinks. I would drop the heavy stick and run. Lean into it. Bend. Maddie bends. Not like that. Not fold over. Bend your knees. Lunge. Maddie tries to lunge. Like this? Quincy, sharp. She picks up a stick of her own, thrusts it at Maddie. Get out of here, you lint, she yells. I'm not the lint, says Maddie. She says in a quiet but firm, I'm Mo. Oh, yeah, says Quincy. She hops closer. Her sword just inches from Maddie's chest. Too close. Maddie smacks Quincy's sword away from her. Whack. She feels it vibrate in her hand. Quincy squints. Okay, you're Mo and I'm the lint. She's swinging the stick back at Maddie. Thwack. Maddie does not think. She thwacks back. Take that, you lint. How about I'm good lint? Good lint, Quincy. Quincy squints again, like I ran away from the lint monster to join forces with you, and now we're off to fight him. Maddie can still feel the sting of her palm from the last thwack. It would be good to have Quincy on her side. There he is. Quincy points beyond Maddie, runs sword high to the edge of the trees. Maddie runs too, swift and brave to the stout oak covered in moss. Her heart pounds. Take that! Thwack! A chunk of moss sails through the air. And that! Quincy hollers. Maddie turns. The moss has sprung up on every rock and tree and limb, reaching out to grab them. Reaching out. Look out, lint girl! I see it. Quincy spins, her sword cutting fearlessly through the air. Thwack! The evil lint is everywhere. Mo is brave. Thwack! Thwack! Mo, over here, lint girl! Is snagged on the washing machine coil. I'll save you! Mo runs hard, fast, leaping over soap puddles, climbing up water pipes. Lint Girl's cape is caught tight in the old washing machine rusty spirals. Pull me out, she cries. Mo pulls, but the cape will not budge. Mo needs to use both hands. But to do so will mean setting down the sword. What if the evil lint monster finds them? And worse, what if this is a trick? What if Lint Girl really hasn't turned good? Please, cries Lint Girl. There's no time to worry, no time to think. Mo drops the bobby pin sword and pulls. One by one, the strong threads of Lint Girl's cape snap until finally she is free. Let's get out of here. Mo grabs the sword with one hand and Lint Girl's hand with the other. Run! Over again, through coils and wires, under pipes, and round tubes they run, hearts pounding, panting, running until they crash safe inside their soap dispenser home. Obviously, that was all imaginary. They're not really mice, and they're not really lint. They're just kind of being silly. Chapter 24. It is Crystal Sweet's car, really, that they smack against. Maddie sinks to the grass, flops to her back. Quincy flops too, breathes hard. I haven't played like that since I was a kid, says Quincy. Feels like Maddie should say the same, except Quincy would say, you still are a kid. So Maddie stays quiet. For 3 whole days, or 30 seconds, or half a lifetime, there is no sound but Quincy's breathing and Maddie's heart thump, thump, thumping. It is quiet. And then it is quiet some more, and Maddie starts to think maybe it's too quiet. Maybe she's supposed to say something. What is she supposed to say? What would Uncle Potluck say? Uncle Potluck says when he talks to the moon talks back. It is not the right thing to have said. Maddie knows as soon as she hears the word. Quincy does not say anything. She just keeps on breathing. No doubt she is thinking she is too old for this silly little girl and her stories about buttons and moons that talk. No doubt thinking she's right to have stayed away yesterday. What does the moon say? Quincy says. It does not sound mean, or like she thinks Maddie is a baby. I don't know, says Maddie. Have you tried it? No, says Maddie. I couldn't. Uncle Potluck said. She tries remembering that night. Uncle Potluck said you have to trust the moon for the moon to trust you. The grass feels cooler now, cold almost. What does that mean? Quincy says. Trust the moon. Maddie shrugs. I think maybe it's like telling a secret, she says. I think you have to tell the moon something that matters and is secret, and then maybe the moon will tell you something back. Quincy sits up, squints down at Maddie. She's going to tell Maddie she is stupid or babyish or Uncle Potluck is pulling her leg. Okay, Quincy says. Okay, what? Miss Sweet hollers for Quincy to come inside. She's got something to show her. Tonight we'll sleep in the tent, Quincy says. Tonight we'll tell the moon something and see what happens, okay? She does not sound plunky, not a bit. Quincy, Miss Sweet hollers, okay? Quincy says, okay, says Maddie. What else can she say? Chapter 25. Our last chapter. What? Yeah, there's some of them are really short. Our last chapter of the day. Maddie stays there still, looking up at the sky. What does she have to say to the moon? What can she say with Quincy listening in? Uncle Potluck would know exactly what to say. If he were up and walking around, Maddie would ask him to join them, come out on the rise to call Miss Moon and tell her a story so wild and funny and interesting that Quincy C would forget all about Maddie having to say anything. Except Uncle Potluck is on the couch resting, keeping his legs straight. That's what the doctor said would be best. Rest and quiet and waiting until late next week for surgery to fix his traitorous knee. What would Uncle Potluck say to the moon with Quincy Sweet listening? Maybe he'd tell a story about that Stella dog, or some other army story, or about how Grandma Breen gave him his nickname. Maddie liked that story. Liked how 5-year-old Robert stole his own birthday cake off the table, claiming a bear had come and tried to eat him, but he had convinced the bear to eat the cake instead. Grandma Breen could only laugh. Boy's as unpredictable as a potluck supper, she said. He was potluck after that. Maddie wishes she had a story like that to tell. Maybe she could tell one of Uncle Potluck's stories. Tell it like it was her own. Not name the story, of course, or not the name story, of course, or the Stella story, or the one about taming circus lions with harmonicas. She doesn't know how to play a harmonica, and Quincy might matter of fact ask her to. Only story she has really is about Mo, and Quincy's already read that. Already sneak read that, Maddie reminds herself. She lies there, reminding herself. Doesn't move until she feels something brush against her cheek. The wind has caught up Quincy's drawing pages, has blown one of them to Maddie's shoulder. The drawing is a mouse button, 2 holes through his belly, holding what looks like a spatula, though Maddie knows it's supposed to be a bobby pin. It is a better mouse than Maddie could draw, didn't know, but didn't, but different than she expected it to. She had expected it to be a grown-up drawing, and it is not. Other pages are dancing in the wind, and Maddie dashes to catch them. One by the cornstalk, another flapping around the stone rabbit, another the carrots pinned against the side of Mama's friend's tent. Maddie gathers the drawings up, brings them to the rock, stacks the paper, sets her notebook down on top. Another breeze, and the notebook pages flutter too. New beginnings from Mo flicker to cafeteria notes and cleaning tips, then back against past Mo to fresh page, back and forth until they all blend together. Maddie, Mama calls from the upstairs window. Maddie, come put a sweater on. It's getting chilly. The apple tree shade is slung low, covering Uncle Potluck's rod, stretching itself down to the garden all the way to the kitchen door. Inside the kitchen, it's warm and steamy and smelling of tomatoes. It's a homey smell. And Maddie breathes it in as she tiptoes past the living room where Uncle Potluck is sleeping. Holds it in down the hallway and into her room. She is so busy holding it in that homey smell, she does not notice it at first. A long string pushing through the ceiling hole, a tomato can tied to its end. Isn't until the string jiggles and the can tunk tunk banged against the bureau top that Maddie sees it. A tin can telephone, same as Mama's brother's made when she was a girl. Maddie exhales, pulls the string taut, which just means like tight, so there's no slack. Puts the can to her ear. It is cool and holds an empty ocean sound. Whoosh, 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 like a seashell. She holds the can to her mouth. Hello? And then the can juggles in her hand, and Maddie fits it over her ear again, catches a voice mid-sentence. Here okay, can you, Maddie? It is Mama. Yes, Maddie says, though she forgets to put the can to her mouth and says it again. She shifts the can to her ear. Isn't working, she hears. Wait, Mama says. When I'm done saying something, I'll say done, and I'll listen until you say done, okay? Silence. Done. Okay, done? Maddie puts the can to her mouth. Okay, she says, done. Okay, Mama's voice sounds far away, farther than just upstairs, but Maddie can make out her words. When I was a little girl, it was so noisy in this house. Sometimes I felt like nobody was listening, she says. Done. Maddie nods. She says, uh-huh. into the can. Done. I thought it was different for you. I always ask how you are and how your day was. Maddie feels the can pull in her hand, the string tightens. But then Potluck pointed out that you don't answer. You say you're fine or you change the subject. The can makes Mama's words fuzzy and hard to figure out. Even through the fuzz, Maddie hears a familiar tone. A tone she has heard when Mama's hands are piccoloing, a planning sound, a fixing sound. Maddie always thought, but now it just sounds sad. Anyways, Maddie, I have something I have to tell you. Done. Done. Even before Mama says it, Maddie knows it is done. It is all done. Feels her hand shaking, feels the can shaking against her cheek. We're moving, Maddie says. She moves the can to catch her words. She says them before Mama has a chance. We're moving, Maddie says again, and it comes to her full force. I hurt Uncle Potluck and ruined everything. I hurt his knee, and he can't work, and we can't stay, and it is my fault. Her hands shake, her legs shake, bend, lower her, sitting to the bed. Not her bed, the bed. Not her house, not her room, not her house, not her yard or rock or garden. None of it is hers. They are moving, and this is not her house. The soup can tugs in her hand. Tug, tug. Then the string goes slack. Done. Dun, 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 dun. All right, we're going to stop there because I think that's a nice, lovely stopping point. This will be posted soon in case you missed part of it. So long.